June the 9th. Guys, a quick update on the current situation in the desert southwest. We've been focused on Lake Mead a lot and north of there, Lake Powell, guys, and they're both dropping fast or both in trouble. And Lake Powell, which is basically the battery upstream for Lake Mead, or the backup battery, is losing its upstream feeds. Flaming Gorge, other places like that are getting very low. And when that cuts off, guys, that cuts off that feed, a lot of it to Lake Mead. Now, what I've seen is they've increased by a couple thousand cubic feet per second, of output from Lake Powell, more than they had been for the last month. And that is trying to stabilize Lake Mead, but they're fighting a very tough battle right now. But there are other things that are being affected in the same area that could have an overall effect on the entire picture. Again, here's Phoenix, Lake Mead's up here, here's Vegas. But over to the east of Phoenix is San Carlos Lake, right here. And what they did, they dammed up the Gila River. And you got the Coolidge Dam there. And it's been affected because you just didn't get the snow melt that it relies on really this time of year because of, again, the snow melt coming out of the mountains replenishes it and things like that. It's not happening. Zero snow in the mountains. And one of you guys reported last night, you were from Aztecs, New Mexico, you were looking north, what they call the 49ers, or the mountains at 14,000 feet, and no snow. And that's pretty bad because that just tells you there's no replenishing of anything in this area. But San Carlos Lake right here, guys, big beautiful lake. It's not used for hydropower. Here's the Coolidge Dam down here. It's used for agricultural water storage. But it's getting so low and the temperature's so high that they just had to close it, guys. Look at the size of this thing. It had a 100% fish kill. Millions of fish lining the banks and the shallow waters of it. Now, they're still able to get water downstream, but they have warned people, don't get, it's not really set up for drinking water. It's to water the fields with. But it's a danger to livestock, a danger to pets, a danger to humans because of the rotting bacteria and the algae in it. Now, when they designed the dam, let's move over there. And this is a picture of it, guys. They designed it to where you had a very good low water suction under it. In other words, if they were having to pump out of it, they would have to stop because of the amount of dead carcasses in the water. But it was designed to handle that, and that's very fortunate. The unfortunate part is they're running out of water to move downstream. But again, 100% fish kill in a lake this size. Now, this picture is 4 years old. It's a lot lower than this, but this just gives you an idea. It's a lot like Mead, but on a much smaller scale. You can see the mountains in the background. But were getting some water back at this time, getting it replenished. But you realize how much wildlife and people that fish in this area, how much they have lost. And we'll look at some current pictures. But this is just one of Mother Nature's other ways of reclaiming a desert that was never meant to sustain the population that man has forced on it. And it's reclaiming it. Now, this is what it looks like now. Check that out, guys. And this lake, held record-breaking bass, brim, catfish, crappie, all kind of stuff. It was really a environmental ecosystem on its own, but it's gone. 100% kill. And look at this. The man's damming up of the deserts is not working out very good in this case. It just, again, they did not realize when they were doing this that they would have these dry years, or they were just trying to put it in the back of their minds or put the heads in the sand and take the money. And guys, not to mention that the Gila River is a major agricultural necessity. When you go south of Phoenix, down through that area between Phoenix and the Estrella Mountains, you cross it. And so much land normally is irrigated by that. But it's pretty low right now. And again, Mother Nature's surrounding the entire desert southwest with just about everything you could throw at it. Now, at midnight, Lake Mead started out at 1048.26. Remember, our average is a 0.26 per day on the drop. And then this afternoon, again, Mountain Standard Time, 1048.19. And what you see is a very tight balancing act, trying to keep it in the 1048.20s in that area. And they were releasing a good bit downstream, cut it back as they usually do. But what we're seeing, though, Lake Powell has been opened up a little bit, draining it more. It has very little upstream capacity left, about 8,000 or 8,200 cubic feet per second, when they had just a few weeks ago limited to 7,000 cubic feet per second. Now, this is Lake Powell updated yesterday. This is what I'm talking about. The inflow is decreasing. The outflow has been increased by the Bureau of Reclamation, trying to keep Mead alive. Understand what I'm saying? At first, they said they're going to limit the outflow to about 7,000 cubic feet a second to save the infrastructure in Lake Powell and its turbines. Are they now deciding that Mead will be the last one to go of the two? Because they're both dropping pretty close to the same rate. We're 49 days out from 1035, guys, and you think about, again, the surrounding factors of everything. The Gila River's out. You got all the water sources going down. When you lose the cheap hydropower at 1035, you lose 70% of it in 49 days. Then it switches over to much higher power or higher cost in power because, like I said, hydropower is the cheapest you can get. And it's instant. In other words, you open up them gates and those turbines start cranking, and it doesn't take that long for that power to get to where it's got to go. But when you stop that, again, they're switching to probably a lot more to the Palo Verde nuclear plant, Salt River. I'm not sure about the coal plant situations or anything like that, but that's going to double, triple your cost of your power. There's going to be rolling blackouts in the desert heat, guys. We've already had in the Phoenix area 6 or 7 days now, triple digit, and it's just getting hotter. And the El Nino, guys, is picking up 2 tropical storms down off the coast of Mexico, indicating that. And if you look at them, the moisture that would normally kind of drift up closer to California and southern Arizona is being pulled back out into the Pacific Ocean by these tropical storms. Again, Mother Nature is at all directions coming in full speed. So we look at this. Inflows for the year, 86.60%. Inflows for year, 49. River flows, 15.53%. Not very much. Snowpack, 2.1%. And now all of the snow's gone for the Colorado River Basin and the other river basins to the east of that. There is no snow to melt. That won't occur till next winter, and by then the dams are dry. If you think that I'm exaggerating about mass migration and the problems that are associated with that, you're sadly mistaken. I'm watching this. This is my job. And it's important for you to prepare for what you're about to see. And make plans. Don't sit around just and do nothing. You can't do that. You're not going to make it very long. It won't happen overnight. But what's going to happen, guys, we're dealing with the grid systems. Many of them are back from the 70s when the power grids were built. And like I said, when you start running these rolling blackouts, it gets intolerable inside a building. Any type house that was your sanctuary to get in there and be cool becomes a heat trap in a very short period of time. But the grids are going to be overloaded. The old transformers are not going to handle it. Data centers got them running 24/7, no cooling night cycles like they were designed for. So it's not just going to be water going low, power getting more expensive. You're going to see the depletion of both. And again, rolling blackouts can be very dangerous in this heat. But right now they're talking about 2 or 3 years to try to get a decent amount of transformers to even try to replace if you have a grid down situation from overheating. And looking at the Meade database, guys, this goes until yesterday. It'll be updated in the morning, but what we were looking at were live numbers. And so going back to Tuesday, May 26, 10:51:23 were the numbers. But guys, now 10:48:41. What you're seeing is, again, a delicate balancing act and a sense of panic by the Bureau of Reclamation and how they're handling it. This is the lowest number as far as drop in feet per day we've seen in a long time, 0.06, okay? Now what's happening though, you're seeing that Meade is out, they're getting in 9,190 feet, or cubic feet per second. Upstream is Powell. But they're having to let out a lot. So what it is, a downstream drain all the way from Phoenix back to Powell. And Powell, again, its upstream sources, like Flaming Gorge and others, are getting so low that that is about to be cut off. Powell will be going down along with Meade, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. The moisture is being pulled completely out of the area by the high pressure, by the heat from the El Nino, and what little is left is being pulled into the Pacific Ocean by the tropical storms. And guys, take a look at this map, current weather conditions. All of this red area, red flag warnings. It's so dry, it's windy, do not burn. Now, in the yellow, you've got a tornado watch. And guys, over here, right there in central Indiana, you have a tornado warning right now. Things are kind of rough, but right here, over the four corners, see that? That's this affected area we're watching. This is how dry it is. You have red flag warnings. Out in front of it, on the edge of the heat dome, we have severe thunderstorm warnings. We have severe thunderstorm watches. Again, tornadoes over here. And all of this is tornado area. There's a battle of the moisture that we've been experiencing coming up out of the Gulf of America between this high pressure dome that's set up. That's going to stay there as a blocking factor for just about all moisture throughout the summer, because of the El Nino. And guys, this gives us a pretty good look at the overall pattern. Up in central Indiana, again, here's your tornadoes. All of this area right here is real volatile. Remember, that was the yellow area with the tornado watches, severe thunderstorm warnings in this pop-up section here. But notice again, very little moisture here. What is here is being pushed away because of the high pressure zone. Down here, I think this storm is called Christina, possibly. And again, it's pulling moisture out. Very dry area. Look at California. And when you think about it, a lot of people say, well, California is going to be the last one to be cut off. They have senior water rights. Guys, there's no water rights when there's no water. You understand what I'm saying? So, again, we talked about that. The feds are going to have to step in. Most of the Colorado River system, especially the dams and reservoirs, are already federal property. They don't have to step in and claim anything. And they're not getting anywhere with the 7 different districts that are all biting or trying to get more water for themselves. And it's all dwindling, but they cannot come to a agreement. So the feds are about to have to step in, guys. Will they wait for 9 more days? I doubt it, because they already know it's going to happen at that time. They have access to the same data that I do. They put out most of it, right? And so, but there's other ways. Let me just say this. There's webcams around Lake Mead. You can actually see. I think one of them is it's one of the last marinas and kind of a little restaurant bar thing there, Temple Bar, I think is what it's called on Lake Mead. They have a live camera 24/7, and you can see the drops in Mead. And we cannot forget what we saw at the lake there outside of Phoenix. When they get so low, the air gets depleted, the oxygen's gone, algae builds up, and it kills everything in it. Now, it wasn't so dangerous there at that lake, but because that's not drinking water. But when you're looking at this situation in drier rivers upstream, downstream, Gila River, coming and Salt River, all of that, and you're talking about fish kills, you could lose a lot more drinking water than just from not a drought, but the desert reclaiming itself with aridification. And this really illustrates the drying situation pretty good, guys. Look right here. The moisture here, again, is going to be pulled out. All of this is being pushed out by a high-pressure dome into this moisture feed. And again, that collision is setting up some storms. But again, just a quick update. Watch for this throughout the next 49 days, popping up most days, even with the other larger videos. But we're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.